And that is, we're going to see the same problems that we saw in the 30s, only worse. And the things that exist, like homes and factories and so on, they drop during that time frame anywhere between 60 and 90%. So that's what you can expect. Whether they're going to pull the plug and let it go down now, I don't think so. I think they'll do it later. So we will have higher inflation over the next few years, and hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is over 50% inflation. It's when you get paid and you go right out and spend the money because it'll be worth less tomorrow or maybe an hour from now, like in Weimar, Germany, or in modern Zimbabwe, where incidentally I used to live before their inflation. And so what's going to happen is that hyperinflation will come, and it will feed on itself like it did between 1920 and 1923, and that inflationary hyper-environment will collapse into deflationary depression a la the 1930s.
So that means that people just flat out won't have any money to buy anything.
Well, that's why gold and silver coins and shares is so important, because it's the only safe place to be. During the Great Depression, as I told you, gold doubled. Gold and silver shares went up over 500%. In an inflationary environment from 1977 through 1981, when I was the largest gold-silver stockbroker in the world, the average gold and silver share went up 40 times what gold bullion did. So you can see where your investment interests are. On the other hand, what you should do, if you can, is prepare by putting extra food away, perhaps, if you can afford to put away dehydrated and freeze-dried foods out of a water filter, and be able to protect your family. That's the most important thing of all.
Well, Bob, that's why we're doing the Get Prepared Expo, is to get people prepared for that scenario that you just articulately explained to our audience. I have a report here from CNBC. It says gold to reach $5,000 due to supply shortage. An exhaustive report by Standard Chartered predicts that gold will more than triple to $5,000 an ounce because of a lack of supply, not just because of a surge in demand that most bullion bugs cite in their bullish calls. What's your response to that article, Bob?
Very conservative. If you just take inflation officially since 1980, gold should be selling at $24 an ounce. But governments lie about everything, and inflation is no exception. The real inflation reflection for gold is $8,000 an ounce now. And if we have higher inflation this coming year and this year and the following year and the year after that, we could be talking much bigger numbers. But it's sufficient to talk in terms of $5,000.
Bob, I went into a coin dealer's establishment with Mark Wright here in Springfield, and I said to the dealer, well, are you willing to sell some silver dollars, which is about 0.715 ounces, let's say, of silver? And the spot price was $37. And he said, well, I want $38. And I said, well, that's a little high. And he said, well, I can do it for $37. I said, okay, I'll take $100 right now. He said, I'm not going to do it. What we're finding out is there's a paper price for precious metals, and then there's the real price. So what we're seeing is that the paper price for metals at $37 or so, you can't buy it for $37. It's much higher. Are you seeing that also?
It's not only in America, it's throughout Europe and Latin America as well. They're selling liberdads in Mexico City for $48 a piece.
And that's 1 ounce of silver.
And that's what they do. They print them right there. They're a very popular coin. In fact, there's a move, and has been for some years, to back the Mexican peso with those liberdads, silver. And the reason why is that Mexico was the second largest producer of silver in the world, so it would be natural for them to do that. And it's very interesting that the government in Mexico just bought 100 tons of gold for about $4.5–5 billion. And so there are governments that are doing that sort of thing. But those silver coins, as well as gold bullion coins in different denominations, are very popular throughout the world because everybody knows what they are, and they'll easily spend when an economy is under pressure. In Mexico, they have what they call the centenario, and they come in a tenth of an ounce, a quarter of an ounce, a half an ounce, and 1 ounce. And many countries do that.
Bob, we hear a lot. People say, but what would I do with that silver? What would I do with that gold? How do you address that? I mean, it seems crazy to me that people would even think to ask that question. Like, what would they do with gold instead of paper currency? How would you address that?
Well, first of all, it has an open market of value and has had for centuries. So if you had 1 ounce silver coins and silver went from $33 an ounce where it is today to 66 or 132, the coin would be worth double or double again what you paid for it.
Sure.
And you would be able to sell that for dollars and maybe buy things with it.
Yeah, I can still buy a bottle of Coca-Cola for the same dime that I used to be able to buy one for in the 1960s. If I just take that 1964 or earlier dime and bring it to a coin store and trade it in for some Federal Reserve notes. So silver seems to have held its purchasing power very, very well, and of course gold has too. So it's clear to us that precious metals are a great way to go to preserve the stored wealth, the stored labor of our efforts over the years. And I guess you agree with that wholeheartedly, don't you?
Well, it's been going on for 6,000 years, so it's not a craze. It's not something that just happened.
It's not a new fad, right, Bob? Hey, Bob, we need to take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll have a few more minutes left in the hour program here. This is Mark Wright. I'm with Vincent Finelli on USA Prepares Today, the radio program, and we're speaking with the great international forecaster, Bob Chapman, and we'll be back after this brief timeout.
I know there's something.
This can be sliding.
What are today's hot?
God, you're
Take my. When you go to the for 2 seconds during the.
Class is back in session. Turn up the volume. USAPrepares.com with the original survival economist, Vincent Finelli and Mark Wright.
And this is USA Prepares the Radio program. I'm Mark Wright. I'm here with the original survival economist, Vincent Finelli. And I tell you, we are going to resume in just a brief moment our fantastic, insightful interview with Bob Chapman. But first of all, we want to let people know about our meetup this Friday. That'll actually be down at the Sound of Freedom Indoor Gun Range. They are... Vincent, why don't we resume the interview with Bob? We got Bob Chapman on the line. Do you know that?
Yes, and we have an exclusive with Bob Chapman every Tuesday here at KWTO 560 AM, 3 to 4 p.m. Class for Bob Chapman's International Forecaster. Go to usaprepares.com and email us. Just tell us you want a copy, and we will make sure you get it right away. Bob, we're back. What advice do you have for our class that will help them through the end of this year? Immediate advice for them. Should they have maybe, let's say they have a 401k. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, about 2.5 years ago, a bill was prepared, and it is in Congress. It doesn't have a number. It hasn't been presented. But there have been discussions for the last 4 to 5 years regarding this bill. And what it would do is allow the federal government to commandeer private and 401k and IRA pensions. And the government would take those over and have them professionally managed by the usual characters in Wall Street, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, etc. And in return for that, the holders of those retirement plans, which aggregate $6 trillion, would receive a government-guaranteed annuity from a government that's bankrupt. Not a very good deal.
Bob, I know.
And the reason the government wants to do this is they're deeply in debt, and they want to use these assets to bail themselves out. So I've been advising our subscribers and others to wrap up your plans and get out. You're going to have to pay the taxes anyway. If there's a penalty, you're just going to have to bear it, because I would not personally take the chance of them going forward with such kind of legislation under some circumstances that they dream up and pass such a bill. And yes, you say, well, Congress wouldn't do that. Oh, yes, they would.
Yes, they would.
Because 95% of them are bought and paid for by Wall Street and banking.
Bob, I can tell you that people take your advice. And one of the members of our class emailed you, and you called him back, and you told him exactly that. You told him to get out of his 401k, and he did. So your advice hits home. People take it. Of course, I've taken it. I don't have a 401k.
I don't either.
And I've been listening to you for years, years and years and years. So your voice is actually, Bob Chapman is a family word or words in our household. We take your advice very seriously, and we follow your advice. So I'd like our class to know that this is serious. We're not kidding around. This advice that you're hearing is contrary to what you hear from the bald-headed shills on the financial programs on TV. This is the real deal right here.
Well, we've been fortunate that we've been able to be right 98% of the time for the last 22 years. And that's very gratifying, and especially to the people who followed our advice. And I hope to be able to continue to do that. And I do it by backing into what these people have done in the past and what you can expect them to do in the future. And based upon that, and a lot of study, needless to say, 52-plus years, we usually have a pretty good idea of what's coming down the turnpike, and it's not good. And so with that said, I think that people should consider doing some of the things that we recommend. And getting the International Forecaster, you can get a free copy, and you can see what we talk about. It's usually 40 pages twice a week. And if you really want to know what's going on in the world, it's all in there.
I can tell you for sure that when we miss an issue, it's really uncomfortable at my household, and I'm not kidding. So you've given our son great advice. He's followed your advice, and actually I think you've taken our son, who is probably your youngest subscriber ever, under your wing. And I saw an email from you that I think that you said something like he's become a son to you. Is that correct?
That's correct, and he was 12 years old when he started.
Absolutely fascinating. Well, Bob, we're looking at no good news. I can't seem to find any good news on the horizon. We've got Fukushima, so radioactivity. We've got the economy coming down on us. We're just flat out in a lot of trouble, aren't we?
We are. You've got the situation in Europe, which includes 6 countries, and all the people that lent the money.
Hey, Bob, we're having a hard time hearing you. It sounds like you're away from the phone. Can you speak more directly into the phone, please?
I am, and I noticed that. It seems like it's a blind spot or something.
Yeah, you're really hollowed out. Well, I tell you what, Bob, we're about to the end of this segment anyway. I want to say thank you for joining us here on USA Prepares, the radio program, for the first time on KWTO 560 AM. We are looking so much forward to you joining us weekly. It's an exclusive thing here in Missouri, and we're so grateful for that. We thank you for that, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Bob.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you all for listening, and I'll